Okay, so my goal for this video is to come up with a graph of inverse tangent. And in order to do it, I'm going to use methods that I kind of used in the previous video for inverse sine and inverse cosine. So, and remember that it's going to be slightly strange the way that I do it here. This is a graph of tan x. So if I wanted a graph of inverse tan, then that's like switching all the x's and y's. So really, what I could do is change this to be the y-axis, change this to be the x-axis, and then spin this around so that the y-axis is pointing the correct direction. The only problem is as I spin it around, the x-axis will then be pointing this way. So then if I flip it, I'll be able to have the x-axis pointing the correct direction. So if I actually do this, in fact, I can do this just by tracing this. So let me do that. I'm going to trace this here. I am lucky in that I have this ability on my computer program. You guys won't be able to do this on your page easily. Well, actually, you could just spin your page, but then you're going to have to flip the page over. So that'll be the problem. I'll do the axes. Well, actually, let me make all this red. And then I'll do the axes in black so that you can see where those are. This is x. Remember, because I'm switching it to be the inverse now. So I switch the x and the y. And this is y. And now I'm just going to highlight this thing, rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise, and now my y-axis is pointing in the correct direction up here. So let me move this graph over. Oops, I don't want that thing underneath attached. Oh, why is it selecting that? Okay, so I'm going to move this over. And that's the graph of the inverse tangent, except it's pointing, the x is pointing the wrong way. So I'm going to have to flip everything around like this so that the x is actually pointing this way to be positive. So when I do that, I don't think I have a reflect option on here, unfortunately. But it's basically just going to take everything and spin it around. So instead of being over here, I'm going to be over here now, like this. So here's what inverse tangent looks like. Or rather, this is what I get when I switch the x and the y. So instead of y equals tan x, I've got x equals tan y. This is what the graph of x equals tan y looks like. All the blue stuff here. And the asymptotes haven't changed because if I spin those around, they're still in the same place anyway. Okay, so that's what I have. And then some important things. This is at pi over 2. This is at negative pi over 2. This is at negative 3 pi over 2. This is at 3 pi over 2. Right here, we're at 0. Or x equals 0. Y is going to be pi there. 0 here. Negative pi there. The only problem is the blue curves don't pass the vertical line test. So that's not a function. So what happens is textbooks are going to force it to be a function by limiting you to just this central region right here. Just this part passes the vertical line test. So if we get rid of all the rest of it right here, then that is the graph. This blue and the asymptotes there, this is the graph of y equals tan inverse of x, like that. So a couple things to note. Domain is all real numbers. The range is negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. I shouldn't have put a bracket there. It's non-inclusive because you can never actually get to them. The other thing is, two important points on the original graph of tangent are pi over 4 comma 1 and negative pi over 4 negative 1. So over on this graph, it's going to be 1 pi over 4 and negative 1 negative pi over 4. Okay, so hope that